Welcome to the Coastal Kitchen. Hi, I'm Karen Mashures, and today we have a really great show. We're showcasing the end of the summer and fruits and vegetables that we love so much. We'll have some spare ribs, some twice-baked sweet potatoes, a mixed berry crumble, fried okra, corn on the cob, and we will be set for our celebration. All right, let's get started. We're going to go with the spare ribs first, and I'm making a dry rub because I put my spare ribs in the fridge overnight and just with a dry rub to begin with. I've got 3 tablespoons of pepper. I've got 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of salt, 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 3 tablespoons of paprika. This is Spanish paprika. Lovely, lovely flavor. And I've got 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Okay, now all I'm going to do is mix this up. I want all of the sugar to get into all of the spices. All right, this is all ready. Now, let's get my spare ribs. I have got St. Louis cut spare ribs. They're pork, and it gives a more rectangular cut to the meat. Let me grab this too because I'll need my pan. I'm going to take my dry rub and sprinkle it across the top. And this dry rub is enough for about 3 racks. Okay, I've got some saran wrap. We're going to put that right over the top of my tin-foiled pan so it's ready to go. And I'm going to start patting this in. It's nice and peppery. It's got a little heat to it, but this is just the first step. Okay. Now we're going to put it right on the saran wrap. Let me wash my hands just a sec. And just so you know, I've got a little bowl with hot soapy water in my sink so I can keep my hands clean. Okay, let's wrap this up. And this is going to go in the fridge. I also take my aluminum foil. Just give it a surround here. There you go. Now, I keep this in the fridge overnight, and I've got one that I'm going to get out so we can start cooking. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, let's open this up. Need to get everything out of the way here. Now I'm going to move my rack there too. I'm going to take my meat, just transfer it right here. Let me get some tin foil. Hold on. Want a fresh piece. Just let it come up the sides. Put my rack on top. The reason we're using a rack today is because I want the circulation of heat to completely surround the ribs. Better cooking for us. All right. Look at that. Wonderful, wonderful. And let me wash my hands again. You can see how all of the spices and the pepper is completely covering the meat. I've got my oven on broil, and I'm going to put it under for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to move the rack. I want the sugar on the top of the ribs to start to bubble. Just a little bit, brown it off, and start the cooking process. Okay, now let's put this out of the way, and let me grab another cutting board here. All right, we're making the sauce that we baste the ribs with real quick. I've got 2 small jars of apricot jam, and to that I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of minced onion, red pepper flakes, just a few. I've got some apple cider vinegar, give it that tang. Let's put in some mustard, and I'm using Dijon, and about 2 cups of barbecue sauce. And you can make your own, or you can use store-bought. I'm using store-bought today. Let's just give this a nice swirl. All right, this looks great. Just remember, this is the way that you like it, so you can add a little bit more or a little bit less to whatever sauce you like. Okay, this is sort of a sticky, gooey sauce, makes the ribs just wonderful. Let's see what our ribs are doing, because sugar on those should be about bubbling. It is. Okay, now I'm going to take this down to 325 degrees, and it's going to stay in the oven for about 2.5 hours. We're going to check it about halfway through and give it a good baste, and then we'll do it again about 30 minutes before we take it out. Let's go to our sweet potatoes. All right, when you pick sweet potatoes, there are a couple different varieties, and I've got the yellow sweet potatoes instead of the white ones. And I've tried to pick potatoes that are about equal in size so they bake at about the same level. Now, they've been washed, and I'm just going to stick them with the fork, puncture them a little bit, and let's grab my pan and get these started. We're going to put them in a 375 oven for about an hour, and then what we'll do is take them out and start the twice baked process. Okay, these are ready to go in. Let's put these in the oven. Just remember, an hour. All right, these will bake for an hour, and then we'll come back to them. Let's take a look at my ribs. All right, sugar is bubbling. Let's turn that on to 325. I'm going to take these out. And now we're going to do our very first basting. Let's get this closed up. I'm going to be generous with my sauce. So I'm going to spoon some right down the center, and I'm only going to baste the top. All right, this is going to go back in a 325 oven for about 2.5 hours. We're going to take it out in about 45 minutes, rebaste it, and we're going to come back and cover it with foil just to make sure it doesn't dry out. Let's have a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm going to clean up a little bit around here, and we'll start with our berry crumble.
Most people couldn't fit 200 local farms on their table. Well, that's where we come in. For the very best of everything local, Lowe's Foods.
Welcome back. While you were away, I started with my sliced almonds. I had them in a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. Just make sure if your oven's hot to watch them. Now I'm going to bring this up to 425 so it'll be ready when we are. All right, these are nice and toasty, and I am turning them out onto a cloth towel. The reason is to cool them down quickly. Okay, I'm just going to spread them out a little bit. And if I see any skin that's flaked off, I'm just going to pick those pieces out. The smell of toasted almonds or any kind of nut. Now, with this crumble, you can use macadamias if you'd like, or hazelnuts, and they turn out just as well. All right, what I'm going to do is just get these easily transported into my food processor. Okay, works well here. Now, the one thing you want to make sure is when you process any kind of nut, not to do it for an extended length of time, because it can turn it into, well, this would turn into almond butter, and we don't want to do that. So let's see what we've got. I'm going to turn it on, and I'm just going to pulse it 2 or 3 times until I see the consistency that I want. Okay, that looks great. Now, let's get that off. And I am going to combine 3 cups of all-purpose flour with 3/4 of a cup of sugar, just granulated sugar. Get that mixed together nicely. And I'm going to take my almonds and put those in with it. And let me get a little bit more out here. Now I am going to put this back on because I'm going to show you 2 little tricks here. I'm going to mix this together and get it fairly nicely incorporated. All right, this looks great. Now it's time to put in our butter. And I have got 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks, and it has been kept chilled. We're going to put that right in, and I am going to add a teaspoon of almond extract. Now, you can use your pastry cutter if you'd like, and I'll probably do that in just a few minutes, but it's really easy. If you just coat and pour back into your food processor, takes a whole bunch of arm work out of it. All right, let's put this top back on. And we're going to pulse until it turns into lovely crumbs. All right, one more turn around here. I think we've got it. All right, let's get this off. I'm going to put it back in my bowl. And now, just to make sure, I'm going to take my pastry cutter and ensure that all my butter is cut in just right. And it is. Okay. Let's put this over here and that over there. And it is time for my pan. I have an 8-inch pan, about the size of a tart pan. You can use the removable bottomed pans if you'd like. And I'm just going to put a couple handfuls in, spread it around, and then a little bit more on the top. I'm going to go for the sides and the edge first, and we're going to pull this up around the sides of the pan. Okay, now this is ready. So I'm going to put that right there. Let me rinse my hands a sec. All right, now it's time for our berries. And to make the berry mixture, it's really simple. You can use any type of berries that you like. I have made a berry medley. I have raspberries, I have blackberries, and I have blueberries. And what I'm going to do is I'm putting in my sugar. It's a 1/2 cup. And I've got cornstarch that I'm going to put in. 1½ tablespoons. Now let's mix that up very nicely. Okay, that was simple. Now let's get another spatula here. I want to take my berries and just gently get them in. And I'm going to do a nice little toss. Just want to fold this into the mixture. All the berries should be coated. So simple. Now, let's just get our crust, and I'm going to transfer everything into my pie shell for this wonderful crumble. Just pour everything in on top. That'll make the filling just perfect. Now we're going to spread this out so it goes from edge to edge. And we're taking the rest of our crust for the top. And we're just going to crumble it all over the top. Cover it all up. All right, this looks absolutely fabulous. So easy. And I'm just going to throw a few more crumbs on top. Now I'm going to take a little bit of brown sugar, and I'm just going to crumble a little bit of brown sugar over the top, just to give it a little bit of a shine when we bring it out. Okay, this is going to go into the oven at 425 degrees. It's going to stay in about 30 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on it so we know when it turns golden brown. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're going to go back and baste our ribs and finish our sweet potatoes. See you in a few.
The Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Holden Brothers Farm Market in Charlotte for supplying the fresh produce on this week's show. Swing by their indoor market located near mile marker 10 on Highway 17 or check them out online at holdenbrothersfarmmarket.com.
Welcome back. I have gotten the berry crumble out of the oven and put it on my cooling rack. It's going to go right here. During the break, I have put my water on to boil for the corn on the cob and my oil on to heat for the fried okra. But the sweet potatoes are about ready to come out of the oven. Let's get those out so we can finish them because they've got to go right back in. Okay. Let's take these right out. Okay, let's get that right there. I'm going to put this here because we'll be using that again in just a moment. All right, what I want to do is I want to cut my potatoes in half. So pick the best side and give it a nice cut. And what I do is if I'm serving 4, I actually only do 4 potatoes, and I use one of the potatoes as extra filling because most people don't eat one huge sweet potato. So we've got extra for those who do, and just enough for those who don't. All right, we're going to let the steam clear for just a minute. All right, these have cooled down enough for me to be able to take the flesh out of the potato. So just very gently separate it from the skin. You want to keep that skin intact. And it slides right out. All right, last one, and I'm going to save this one too, just in case I have extra filling. All right. Now, I'm going to take this, rinse my fingers, and we are going to add brown sugar, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar to our flesh here. We're going to add a tiny bit of nutmeg and a tiny bit of cinnamon. Now, you can do this with your fork if you want to do this with a fork, or if you want more coverage like me, I'm going to use my potato masher. All right, now, got that pretty well mashed, and I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of butter right into the mix and mash some more. Okay, we're pretty well mashed here now. Let's take this spatula, and I want to make sure that everything is incorporated. So I don't see any pieces of anything. A little bit of potato, but that's about it. Smells wonderful. And now it's time to put them back into their jackets. Let me grab a spoon. All right, just grab one of these and start filling up. All right, let's get this back in the oven. Now you can see that I baked 4 sweet potatoes, and this is just filling 6 of the shells. So we are good with that. It's going to go back in the oven for about 15 minutes so it browns the top. Okay, now let's go over here to our okra. All right. I have 2 pounds of okra, and I have already cut a bunch of it up. So let me show you after it's been washed. Just take off the ends and cut it about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch piece, just the way you like it. Let's throw those right in. It doesn't take that long to do this, and it is so worth it. Okay, let's get rid of that. Now, I'm going to take 1/2 cup of buttermilk and put it in this bowl. And I'm going to take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and put in with my buttermilk. Okay, now let's just stir that around. And I'm going to pour that right over the top. Want this just to coat all of the pieces. All right, we're going to let that set for just a minute, and I'm going to make my flour mixture. And grab a bowl. I have all-purpose flour. And whatever you're cooking, if you're putting a breading on it, it's really great to mix it with cornmeal. So I've got the same amount of cornmeal, just good old yellow cornmeal. Put that in. I'm going to throw in some black pepper, freshly ground, a little bit of salt, and some garlic powder. Just get that all mixed in nicely. Okay, now it's time. We're going to put in our okra. Just all in. And just gently fold it so the okra gets coated. All right. This is looking good. I'm going to let this set for just a second while I look at my oil. All right, this looks like it's just about ready. You want it to be at about 350 when you put your okra in. And I'm going to shake some of the excess off. And in it goes. Now this is going to take about 5 minutes to cook. So let's watch that. While we do, let me start husking some corn, because we're going to do some corn on the cob. And what I'm going to do is just cut the top off halfway through so I can grab a hold of the silk and pull it straight down. Just break that off and we'll just keep right on going. Okay, last one. Just break that bottom off. And I'm going to take these and rinse them real fast as I get them ready to put in the pot. All right, my water is boiling. And what I want to do is put my corn in. And as soon as it comes back to a boil, it will be done. Whoops. Okay. All right, it's slowed right down. I'm going to put this on again and we'll let it boil. Let's take a look at this okra. Oh, nearly ready. I think it's time for the sweet potatoes to come back out of the oven and for us to start thinking about putting everything together. Take a look. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's put those right here. Oven off. I'm going to watch these okra, get them out onto my paper towel to drain, and we'll be back in just a minute with it all put together for you to see.
Most people couldn't fit 200 local farms on their table. Well, that's where we come in. For the very best of everything local, Lowe's Foods.
Ah, another fun time at the Coastal Kitchen. I'll tell you what, I don't want to say goodbye to summer, but it's just one of those things we have to do. But this is a way to do it. Luscious spare ribs, wonderful okra, corn on the cob, twice-baked sweet potatoes, and mixed berried crumble. I'll tell you what, this is a fun meal, and you can find us on Facebook. Just search for the Coastal Kitchen. You can get the recipes there. We appreciate your comments, and we hope you have a wonderful end of the summer. Cheers.